What are the biggest challenges in securing critical national infrastructure from cyber attacks?
That's a wonderful question, Prachi. Critical national infrastructure comprises of two parts. One part is what is driving the national infrastructure, and NCIIPC, National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Committee, has identified 9 verticals, and we fall in one such vertical, which is transportation. Critical infrastructure, if disrupted, can have a very catastrophic impact. It's a very low probability but a very high impact event. Say, for example, in my case, transportation, if railway operations were disrupted because of any cyber attack, it can lead to loss of life. It can lead to loss of revenue because so many things are being transported over train. It can also lead to a stagnation of the entire transportation ecosystem on rail. One trail derailment means though so many trains line up one behind the other, and the business comes to an halt. A restoration of this takes a longish time. So what has happened is one impact on critical infrastructure has an impact on the national economy, and at times can even trigger chaos. So this is what drives that critical infrastructure. That is what I'm saying, the operational part of it, the operational technology. Then there is this public service facing kind of a infrastructure. Say, for example, you have to travel from place A to place B and you want to avail the services of ticket booking on railways.
Yeah.
If that website is down, look at the chaos, disgruntlement that it creates among citizens.
Yeah.
So given the importance of critical infrastructure, both on the operational and citizen facing services, it is always vulnerable. And it is not vulnerable to routine script kiddies. There is a state involvement, element of state involvement, which is always there. And given that state is involved, which means there is no dearth of resources, there is no dearth of competence, there is no dearth of funding to be able to target a critical infrastructure. Country like India, which has got adversities all around it, in its geographical landscape also, and in the economic landscape or global landscape, if I say, there's far many more. In only yesterday you had this news of someone investing to topple or place someone in the political arena.
Okay.
So if I can bring down these kind of services at critical junctures, you have Kumbh going on,
Yeah.
and if someone can disrupt the train traffic towards Kumbh, imagine that if on one side we are tom-tomming 50 odd crore people attending it, imagine the chaos that will create when these even 10 crore people will not be able to reach in the next 4 or 5 days, which are residual. So that is the importance of security in critical infrastructure.
What are the key challenges in securing IoT and connected devices, especially in critical industries?
So now IoT actually refers to, especially in critical infrastructure, critical industries like mine, is actually on the operational side. IoT was actually designed for a purpose. So it was purpose built. It had very low compute, very low memory, and none of the stacks which are relevant to security were ever applied or thought of would be required for this kind of an operation, IoT operation. As I said, involvement of the state, increasing access to technology. To that matter, I would say commoditization of attack technologies and vectors, so that anybody can try and exploit these things, has made the attacker landscape far more greater. In any case, these equipment were purpose built, so they did not have security built by design. They remained vulnerable. A large attacker landscape, all of them having access to threat vectors which are highly specialized, niche in nature, with someone who does not have the capability to defend itself. That is what the IoT is. Makes that threat perception that much more higher. And if the IoT is vulnerable, your entire critical infrastructure directly indirectly becomes vulnerable. So that is why this is coming up as an afterthought. People are trying to build in OT security, but OT security or IoT security again has to factor in the challenges of limited compute and storage that it has. Then and only then you can address or maybe hardening it. That's the first part. You also have to look at the dimensions that you can't, the classical IT patching that happens, you can't apply straight to OT because OT is affecting real time operations. If a patch which leads to instability in the ecosystem, in IT you have time to retrieve it. In OT you don't have time, so you have to do that patch testing prior. So you need an additional infrastructure to do that patch testing before you push it to the IoT side, IoT and OT side. So those are the challenges, especially with respect to the IoT related security.
As companies push for automation, how can they avoid job displacement concerns and reskill employees for AI era roles?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question and very often asked. And most people in the industry fear that automation, and now the buzzword is AI, that AI is there to take their jobs, at least the mundane routine level jobs. That is what is the perception. But go back in time, every time that there has been a new technology which has come to land to the forefront, you have seen these kind of apprehensions. Uh, Partially correct, but largely misplaced. What happens is whenever a new technology comes, it changes the goalpost. You will still need people to work. It's only that the skill set would probably change. Your day to day job profile will probably change. Technology at the end of the day is a tool. The tool assists you to bring in efficiencies. So if AI comes, it is not going to take away my job. It is only going to aid me becoming more efficient. What I did in 4 hours, I will probably do in 2 hours. So that is the kind of this mindset that it is going to take away your job is misplaced.
Yeah.
So that is my take on it.